Hello, everybody. So, laptop probably's not got the processing power. Okay, thank you very much, Harry. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's something. So this presentation we're going to go a little bit deeper into like the lead magnet stuff, because turns out it's a brilliant idea. So licensed by, carried out by, yeah, the people that have got their lead magnet set up are signing up one-to-one clients back of it almost straight away. Now, there's a few things that you probably need to have in place to easier to do that. So we're going to talk about, I guess, the cadence at which you contact them, how to use ManyChat, how to set up your email automation. So we're gonna actually go into it. We're going to do like a screen share, or Dan's going to do a screen share and show you how to do ManyChat, because I can't get into mine because I'm locked out of my Facebook, which is awesome. So we'll actually show it you on screen, and we'll go in a little bit more detail. And some people have created theirs, and maybe there's some tweaks that could be made. So we're literally going to map out exactly what to do with this, because it is a little bit of a, not a gold mine because it's free, but it is, I believe, probably the best thing that you can have to offer somebody, to start to identify who's interested in, like, literally right now. Yeah, so here we go. Now, a lot of people have seen me kind of draw this, so I thought, you know what, rather than me drawing it for everybody, I'll do it on a
No,
screen,
you
right?
should draw it for everyone, I think, still. I think people
Yeah,
need it. Yeah, that's
I
what I've
probably
heard.
still will. So here we've got your followers. So I'm gonna annotate this. So here we've got your followers. Now, let's see. Can you see that? That come
Oh,
up?
we can see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Oh, this is wicked. So you've got your followers. And if you imagine, let's just say you have in here maybe this much engagement, right? And everybody that is interested in your free lead magnet, provided that you CTA it, you're consistent with your calls to actions, you mention it on your stories, you mention it within your captions, you mention it even within your reels for more information, or to get started now, we have 4 weeks free, whatever. Right, this should be the thing that you call to action the most frequently, because it's the most likely that somebody would get this, as opposed to what most people do is they try to get followers and take them straight into one-to-one, which is still going to happen, by the way. That's still going to happen. You will still notoriously get that happen, but it's much easier to get them across into that, right? Because it will identify everybody that's interested. And obviously, kind of going back to last week's video about showing your journey, if you are showing your journey this week, and doing daily vlogs or weekly vlogs or updates, it's probably useful to start to drop in that you're working on 4 weeks of free coaching, right? And you show different elements of the 4 weeks free coaching that you're going to be able to be able to stick out to whet people's appetite. Again, when you're starting to create stuff, think about what you're doing in terms of what people do is they create it in the dark and then make one post about it and they go, oh, nobody got it. No,
Mm.
show that you're making it, show behind the scenes, show the working, show why you're doing it, show the difference, and have people ready there waiting. And then when you announce it, you'll get an initial burst of people on, and then you should regularly call to action it. So obviously,
Just,
with what
just,
we're
just
doing,
on that as well. Like, the one thing I get from people is go, "Oh, people aren't that bothered, right?"
they are.
Or whatever. They say they're not that bothered, and I always say to people, "Yeah, the way you talk about it, they won't be." Right, is that you need to talk about this like it's the best thing ever. Like, if you're not going to be excited about it when you're showing it, when you're doing the behind the scenes of it, do not expect anyone to sign up for it. I remember we used to do Blitz. We were talking about it for ages when we talked about planting the seed, and we got this in the group coaching playbook. And I think sometimes when I see people who do really well in the group coaching, and they sort of have a bit more of an engaged audience potentially, all that sort of stuff, you could argue that, but I actually think part of it is because they engage their audience in the building of it and in the showing the behind the scenes of it, in the talking about what's coming and all that sort of stuff. When we say you need a 4 week lead up to it, we mean a 4 weeks of you talking about it and being excited about it all the time. You cannot expect your engaged audience to be excited about something that you're not excited about. Just wanted to make that point because you guys should be talking about this all the time. Like in those
Yes,
vlogs, in those things, like amazing 4 weeks free coaching. You're not going to get this anywhere else. And I might not even keep it free for that long. Do you know, like you should be talking about how fucking amazing it is. Because a lot of people I see, they just literally put a small little CTA at the bottom of a post and, oh, no one's really interested in it. I wouldn't be if that's the way you're talking about it, right? You've got to
yeah,
make sure that you sell it, even though it's free, still sell it.
100%. So we know that we know, that's an old joke.
It's a very old
Followers,
joke.
yeah, followers, are more likely to get 4 weeks free than they are to pay you, right? So we can hypothesize that you're going to get, let's say, this amount of followers through the door, right? And you'll see these people kind of like tot up over time. Now, obviously, this is never going to go backwards, right? So if you announced it today, you might get, say, 20 people on it today. That's never going to be less than 20. So over time, this should build up and build up and build up and build up and build up. Just 1 second. Um, this is 1 second.
Oh, Mike's got the builders in. That's not a euphemism either.
Yeah.
Mike has got the builders in. But what basically with this, what you're trying to remember, and I remember when I first built our email list, I started off with like 50 people in it. And I think you might be surprised when I show you kind of like how we do the automations and how we build people up over time, is that what you're doing with the 4 weeks free is you're building people up over time. And with that, over time, hang on, there's a few people just coming in late. You got to remember is that people are still being positively influenced by what you're saying. So let's say they do the 4 weeks free and you think, oh, they've gone, they don't need it anymore, right? They're still going to be there, and there's still people that you have identified as people who are interested in coaching. I'm going to mute Mike as well in a minute. Being all loud, look. There we go. I don't want to. There we go. So basically, with that accumulation over time, you're going to get more and more and more of those engaged people, right? And let's say that someone who was a follower and they're super engaged, and then they become not unengaged, but they stop engaging quite as much on Instagram, but they're already in your 4 week free. The great thing about building up that over time is you know that they were once engaged or they were interested in what you had to sell at that point in time. So you're always going to have that number go up over time, whereas the engaged followers may, what's the word? Maybe quite variable. It may go up and down. It may some weeks be really high, some weeks really, really low. Whereas because of the way that email works and the way you've adapted, I suppose, this new system, is that you're going to get this accumulation of engaged people. Sorry, mate, I had to mute you because I could hear. When you say 4 weeks free coaching, what level of coaching are you giving them for 4 weeks? Same as one. We'll get to that in a sec. Don't worry about that, it's coming up. So with these numbers, because they will always build up over time, and you can then often see who's opening emails, who's opened them, and then they're getting your emails over time, you can then sell them into that group versus if your followers, you just rely on followers all the time, the engagement level is going to vary so much over time that engaged amount of followers will change. And it's not as accumulative as the 4 weeks free kind of like email list is going to be. That's always going to accumulate people who put their hand up to say they were interested in this thing. Whereas some people, based on certain types of content you post, will be engaged with your stuff at varying different times. And then whatever Mike's going to say.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll go over the level of the coaching in a second. So yeah, I don't know what you kind of got onto there, but what the point I was making was you're going to get this amount of people on it, let's just say, and that's the lowest it'll ever be. Like Dan said, with continuous calls to actions, you'll always pull more people in. So if you're getting more people in here by making good niche specific content, you're working on your engagement, so your engagement's going up, you're only going to pull more and more and more people in to here, right? It's very hard to do it on here. So this will top up and up.
Sorry, is that supposed to be an E for engagement there? I couldn't.
It is, yeah.
Okay, cool. Just thanks for clarifying that.
So if this goes up, that's a straight line. The arrow's not so good. Then you can assume that this is probably going to go up because you're going to get more people in your group coaching if you've got more people on the 4 weeks free, right? Because they've been shown a taste, but they've still haven't got any accountability, and we'll talk about that in a second. Which means if your group goes up, your one-to-one goes up because you'll get more and more people through here. It's really hard to do it on a laptop without a mouse.
Without a mouse.
So literally the aim of people, especially over summer, should be to kind of break this down the middle and go, right, can we work on followers? So can we increase the engagement here? Can we get more followers in so this pot is bigger? And can we get them over to 4 weeks free? That's the aim, right? I would say that over the next couple of months, this is probably going to be the aim, because you know that if you're running a group in September, the group will get bigger. If you've got 100, 150 people on a 4 weeks free, your group will be pretty big. Okay. And you know that as a byproduct of that, you're going to get more through into the one-to-one. So that's what I would recommend doing. You're still going to get people, like I said, that go straight into one-to-one, and you're still going to get people that go straight into the group. That's still fine. But it's a much easier thing to call to action because it's a really high value, high quality lead magnet that is very, very useful for people. So hopefully that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I can stop annotating.
Now leave it on,
Okay.
mate. It looks great. That's not annoying.
Fuck. It's still there, isn't it?
Class, mate. That is brilliant.
So I've got to fucking rub it out. What? That's
Yeah, rub it all
fucking
out.
rubbish.
So what I was saying, Mike, when you were away, was basically as well, like remembering that with your followers, obviously people come in and people leave at varying different time points. Obviously, that engaged audience at one point in time may decide to unfollow you, may leave Instagram, may go off Instagram, whatever it is, but you'll always have them in that group of the 4 weeks free. So that's why it's always valuable as well to move people over to this. This is why we're talking, about lead magnets and why we're so heavy on them and why we believe that they're so, so useful. It's because that's where your most engaged audience will go at any one time. So it's just it's always worth remembering that as well throughout, because people just obsess about followers all the time, and we've never had a lot of followers, and we've done all right. So just remember that.
I've missed a bit, have I? It's probably because it's behind the chat box. Okay. Oh yeah, now I can see it. And it's going to annoy me now I've seen it. But two things can happen from this, right? So two things can happen. Either scenario A happens and they finish it, they complete the 4 weeks, but they'll probably need longer. So they'll ask you for advice, obviously. If they've done 4 weeks and they've completed 4 weeks, it means that they're probably quite bought in, they're probably quite engaged. So they will be probably the most likely to kind of go through to one-to-one or into a group. Scenario B is that they don't complete it, in which case your email / ManyChat automations will be trying to re-engage these people and kind of highlighting or prompting the fact that it's probably just accountability that you're missing. So for example, in fact, I'm going to give you an example of how I would run like the first video, because for some people that have set this up, they've done their videos and they've done like a PowerPoint presentation, and it's like, no, because that's not what you would do at your check-ins. So I'm going to show you exactly kind of like what I would be doing. So why would this be so good? So I actually took this off the previous presentation about the lead magnet, but I just wanted to reiterate why it would be so good. So it'd be so good because it's better than what everybody else does. One of the hardest things about showing the behind the scenes of your coaching is actually how can you do it? Like, do you put it in a reel? Do you put it do you pin it to the top of your thing? Do you show it in your stories? The answer is all of those. But this is an even better way of doing it, because when somebody signs up to it, they can go, oh, okay, so it's Loom video. I can show them the software that I use, the spreadsheet, the training programs, the assessment stuff. I can literally bring up clients, show them their journey, show them what they did. Like, so it gives them a dummy run of the coaching process, right? It makes it tangible what they're going to get, rather than, is it just a meal plan? Is it a WhatsApp that I get? Like, because coaches do things in so many different ways. This will be completely bespoke to you, because even though you're all doing the same 4 weeks of coaching, you will all say things differently. You all believe in different things. You all program in different ways. You all have different training styles. You all have different, I guess, nutritional beliefs. you all have different personalities, so you can bring that personality into it. You can show a little bit of you across, so that it's not just really dry and really boring. You can show a little bit, so it's perfect, right? It's an intro into their first step of the journey into working with yourself. Hopefully that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and the reason as well, you need to remember that a lot of people won't be doing something like this is because they're coaching shit. And it is just a written check-in. It is just that, and they wouldn't want to show it off and give it away for free because. And I posted this morning, right, on my story about people talking about all these mentors that you charge up front, it gets better buy-in and all this sort of shit. It doesn't get better buy-in at all. And this is the reason that a lot of people hide all this stuff away behind a paywall, behind this payment thing, is because they don't think it's and if they. It's partly because they don't think it's very good, but it's partly because they'll say things like, "Oh yeah, but you got to give it time. You got to give it 12 weeks, blah blah." Whereas we know, right, from the way we do check-ins, video check-ins, Loom videos, behind the scenes of this stuff, we know this should make someone more excited to work with you, not less. Everyone else's, if they shared it, would make them less excited to work with you. This will make them more excited to work with you.
Yeah,
that's the key difference. Is that no one else would show this because they go, "It doesn't really show what I'm about." Well, why doesn't it? Right? Because it would just be a basic type form with a basic meal plan and a basic training plan. Whereas you guys have the ability to go, this is how I'm going to do things. This is how we're going to work here. Instantly, they'll be like, fucking hell. And that's the important thing, is that no one else is going to do this. Trust me, no one else will be doing this because it will be shit. Because they're showing how shit they are. Whereas you guys will be showing how great you are. That's the key difference to it.
Hang on. So we'll start with the ManyChat thing first. So basically what you're looking at here is an inbound keyword DM. So for example, you might use the number 4 and the word free, for free. Or you can use any keyword that you want, right? So basically you want to set up an inbound keyword. Dan will show you this in a second. The delay is immediately. So basically you want to send a link, or 1 minute, or whatever the shortest time delay that you can have. That send link will be, hey mate, thanks for the message. Here's the link for your 4 weeks free coaching. Let me know how you get on. That link should be to the landing page, which we'll talk about moving forwards, right? 3 days later, so you can add a time delay for 3 days later. Hey mate, how are you getting on with your assessments? It feels like you're checking up with them. 7 days later, so they're now 10 days in, because you know if they're following it to the T, they should have gone through their assessment week and they should have been able to program for themselves in terms of like nutritionally. And I will again cover what I would do on each of the Loom videos moving forwards in a second. Right? Okay. So after that 7 days, just checking in, mate. Did you manage to sort out your protein, your calories, etc.? Just something like that, right? And it will feel like, oh, they're on the ball. It starts a conversation, because again, one of two things can happen. Or I say one of three things, the third thing being they don't reply to you, okay? So the non-responders, it is what it is. The other two things that are most likely to happen are, yeah, it's wicked, mate, yeah, getting on fine, right? Cool. Oh, fantastic. Pleased to hear it. Let me know if there's any issues. Second option is that they go, actually, I was a little bit unsure about this, or I haven't quite got started yet. So in which case you go, okay, yeah, I get that. It may be that you're lacking a little bit of clearer guidance or direction or even accountability. So I'm guessing that you are probably interested in coaching to some capacity. So I'm happy to book in a quick chat with you to see if we can get you moving forward. Something like that, right? Where again, you talk about what they're doing, what their goals are. You weave in a little bit of sales into it, talk about your one-to-one. And again, the best case scenario is that they sign up for one-to-one. The worst case scenario is that they've been given some useful advice. They do the 4 weeks free coaching based off of you giving them that useful advice. And you're then trying to upsell them later down the line, either to a group or into the one-to-one, right? That's it. Is this on email or Insta? This is on Insta, so this is ManyChat, which Dan will show in a second. Would you do the ManyChat and emails? Yes. Or keep emails for check-in style videos? I'm getting to the emails in a second. What if you already have a conversation with them and the automation interrupts them? The way that you're presenting this,
it wouldn't matter anyway.
shouldn't matter, because even if you've spoke to them, how you're getting on is normal. It's just a normal thing to ask, right? If you know that they've started a one-to-one, and just checking in how you getting on. These are not this is not reliant on them having like done or not done anything. It's literally a question. If that makes sense. So it will always make sense. Hopefully
If that makes sense.
yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah.
I'll share. Can I share my screen straight away?
I'll stop my share, and then.
So I've left this. I've left it completely blank. Not that one. Where is it gone? There it is. So I can start literally from scratch. So what ManyChat looks like, you would go new automation. From here, you would just basically go start from scratch. It's super easy. So the trigger would be user replies to your story or sends a message. Like you can do replies to story, but that is like just an emoji, which you wouldn't want to use. You would want to use sends a message. Detect specific words in a message. If message contains keyword, would be like say 4 week free, right? Because people aren't going to write that as one word in many things. You don't need another one. If message contains 4 week free, you could have variations like if they spell it wrong, whatever, if you really wanted to, but you don't really need to. Then you get enter text. So you're like, hey, thanks for reaching out, or whatever you want to put. Here's the link to the 4 week free coaching. And then you would go to your landing page, which you created here. Ours is only a draft at the moment. Let's just pretend that that's the fucking URL. Paste that in there. Super easy. And then you go next step. Another thing, Instagram, send message. You need a delay on it as well.
Yeah, you want the next. Yeah, there you go.
You put the delay in after this one.
Yeah.
Delay time. I mean, I don't fucking do the maths on that.
Do the next step. So rather than send message, your next step should be delayed on. So rather than that, yeah. So next step, yeah. Then it's time.
There we go. Smart delay. Right.
Yeah. 3 days.
So 72 hours, whatever it is, 3 days, whatever you prefer, right? There we go.
Then the next one is message. Okay.
And then the message would just be like, again,
hey mate, how you getting on? Yeah.
How you getting on?
With the assessments or something.
Yeah. Whatever you want. And like you said, like you wouldn't want it to be something that could be taken, like say, a different way if you would have been speaking to them. Now, this one you can only set within a 24-hour window, I think, as well. You can't do this to be like exactly 3 days. It'll be some time after that.
Yeah.
Basically, just let you know.
And then add another smart delay down.
Yeah.
Choose next step, smart delay. Set then 7 days after that. Choose next step, Instagram message. Just checking in, dude.
You can all see this.
Did you? Yeah. How are you getting on with the free coaching? And that's it, right?
Yeah.
And then in the top right hand corner, he's got set live. Obviously, he's not going to set it live because it would go live. But that's all you would do, and then that's live. So if I messaged him 4 weeks free, I would then be entered into that email, into that Instagram automation. So it's literally that simple. I mean, that took what, all of 3 minutes, 4 minutes, something like that. That's all. That's all it is. And the beauty of that is you can see every single person in your inbox that has messaged you 4 weeks free. So then you've almost got an inbox of people that are putting their hands up, going, "I want coaching off you." If that makes sense, it does make sense.
It does make sense, yeah.
Okay.
But I would remember as well, like, so the question there, like Ross said, would you do Insta as well or just use Insta or email? I think email, don't forget the email is where they're getting like the actual coaching part of it. This is you just sort of like almost checking up and checking in on them and just checking they're okay. Because again, you should be speaking to them on Instagram anyway, right? In theory, but this would be more chatty stuff versus the email would be a little bit more like, here's a check-in, here's the video, here's this, here's that. I just don't think you should be, in my opinion, I'm sure Mike will agree, is you don't want to not be speaking to people because they've just told you that they are people that are very interested in what you've got to sell potentially. Why would you not speak to them on both email and Instagram? Why wouldn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Two different forms of communication, two different ways of chatting, basically. This is by far the best thing to do for this. I wouldn't just leave it on email at all. Don't leave it to chance.
Okay. So here's the emails, right? Now, let's go through automations. Have you got MailChimp up there, Dan? Yeah, you haven't you? I've just seen it. So let's go through the automations, and then I'm going to show you what to do in each of the Loom videos, basically. So yeah, I'll stop my share, and then if we go through how to create a tag, Dan, if we go how to create a basic landing page, and then how to start a new automation journey.
Okay.
So again, it should be really simple, this, guys.
All I've done here is click create, and then I've got a landing page there, build landing page. That's all I've clicked on up to this point, right? To create the landing page, just to let you guys know. If I then go back to this, I've created one now. This is a landing page. Look, it is literally just, it's just a draft, which you wouldn't obviously leave it like this. You would change it, right? Again, make this sound fucking good. Like, don't just go 4 weeks free coaching. Like, it needs to be enticing. Like, it literally tells you there, big, bold, whatever. Email address, first name. You don't even need last name, but again, real basic stuff. It's all there, pretty easy to use, and all that sort of jazz, right?
Just go to save and close for a second. Tags. So you need to show them how to create a tag first.
So basically what you're going to do with this, so this is just for 4 weeks free coaching, right? You would set it up so that it goes to your audience. You may have just one. We've got obviously fucking tons of small stuff we've done, right? But let's say it's to our coaches. All I would do that says tags optional, and I would add one, and I'd call it 4 weeks free, and then click save. Now, every single person who comes through that landing page will go into our audience and be tagged 4 weeks free. So I know, and Mike knows, that they've come through that, right? Now, if I click on this now in my audience, there's going to be no one there with 4 weeks free because no one signed up for it, right? But you can see we've got all these tags here, right? Where people have come from. So ours, for example, Bailey seminar, 97 people come from it. The event webinar, 137. So I know where they've come from, right? And I know exactly what's going on with them. There's a couple of questions you always get about this, so I'm going to address it as well as I talk through it.
Right, I want so the journeys. Just 1 second, Dan. Go back because you've not showed them how to create a tag. So on the left-hand side, go down to tags.
I just did.
No, you didn't.
I did. Literally, literally right there.
You showed them how to assign a tag to a landing page, but you're not showing them how to create a tag.
It's on the same. It's on the same thing.
Go onto the left-hand side, and there's tags there on the left-hand side.
You see this here? That's adding one.
Yeah, because I added it, Dan.
No, you can look. See here. It says create or find tag. If I was to type in 5 weeks free, create a new tag, tick it. It's done.
See, I've always done it on the left-hand side. There's a tags thing there. Can you see under audience, left-hand side, tags? So that's how I've always done it. I tag using that, and you can literally create one there. Okay, I didn't know that you could create one there.
You can also add 3. You could also add like 5 weeks free, and then just do like 2023 if you wanted to.
Okay. Yeah, I've always done it. I've always done it in the actual tag section. I actually didn't realize you could do that, which is handy.
So
it's literally pointless. It's literally pointless having that tag section on MailChimp, then, isn't it? Like,
I think it's just where you can delete them.
Okay.
All right. So then you go journeys, right? 4 weeks free coaching. So people will enter this journey if they have been tagged 4 weeks free. Right? That's what's required for them. I picked it out, right? Save starting point. So again, whatever the tag you've called it, you would save that. So now anyone who's tagged that will be sent this email here. This email, obviously, you can then edit the email content, put whatever you need into it, Loom video, bit of copy, then a link to it, right? With that. Again, that's obviously just holding text, whatever. You write that out, you click save and return to journey. Once you've done that, you then add a delay of 3 days, however many days you want. the next email goes there. Whatever that would, that again, Mike's gonna get to that in a sec, right? 4-day delay, and you just keep going and make sure you're keeping that, obviously, add up the days so you know when a week has been and when they need the next check-in by, etc. But if you go 3 and 4, you can't really go wrong because it'll always
Yeah.
be after 3 and 4, you always be there, right? So the email in between could just be like quick checkup email, whatever. You can, again, I don't want to really confuse this, but you can also delay it so that if you want it to always send out on a Monday, you can, etc., etc. But the smart people can do that, and most people, I wouldn't worry about it, but you can do it. And like I said, I'm not going to do every single fucking email, but it's all there, right? And it's done. Now, the other question I get, I'm going to bring up now while I've got this up, is I always get this question of like, how can I make sure that when I send an email out, that the people who have finished, who are on it, don't get them, right? So what you do is you create an email, how to send emails to those not in 4-week free. I named it because, easier to understand it. So what you do is you create this email, and under this audience where it says recipients, you go edit, and it says send to all subscribers in the audience, do not send to, and then you click the tag, whatever tag you want it to be, 5 weeks free, right? Then save. If you do that all the time, right? Obviously, it's not going to send to people who've done the 5 weeks free or whatever, but then it means that they're never going to get it, right? However, there's another thing I'll show you. So that's how you make sure, by the way, everyone who's done that doesn't get tagged that. There's then an option in that journey, which is really important, you go into, and I'll show you this. At the end of this, add a journey point, and then there's going to be a tag, untag. So you're going to tag them 4 weeks free, and then you might have created one called finished, right? And then you might add. And you might do, and then you do the same thing where you untag them 4 weeks free, current, or whatever you want to call it. That way you can use tags to make sure that your people who are in the 4 weeks free just will not get those emails that you'll send out regularly. As soon as they've finished it, it means that they will. But you'll still be able to identify if they've done it or not. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, yeah.
Just checking.
It is complicated, but
so for example, you would add a tag, and then you would just then go tag, untag, and then you would then go tag 4 weeks free, and you would go remove. So that's always at the end of that.
Done.
Then they would just go straight into your normal thing, right? Because I get that question a fair bit. It sounds complicated. It's not that complicated once you get stuck into it.
Yeah. Okay. So, just on that point there, with too scared to move over with like Zapier and stuff, we've actually got something that's maybe in the works in terms of like email automations. Yeah, so stay tuned, because we're kind of got things going on in the background where we're hopefully going to be able to roll out something for everybody that kind of does all of these automations for you in terms of like onboarding and so on and so forth, using almost like building out the zaps on whatever software it is that you're using. But stay tuned on that because it's early. Plug and play zaps, yeah, pretty much, yeah. Okay, so basically, so somebody signs up to that landing page that Dan's just showed us, and they've been added in. So like Dan showed there, immediately there's first email sent out, and then there's a delay of 3 days with how you're getting on, then there's a delay of 4 days. So that's literally where Dan got to. Okay,
Yep.
So this is the first kind of page, right? So that email one, that's the first intro. So you can make it personality based. It doesn't need to be too dry. It doesn't need to be too formal. Again, I think some coaches, are nailing the way that they're doing their weekly emails in terms of personality. But then as soon as there's something that can be like more formal, it's like business mode again. No, like put some personality into it. So what I will be sending out is a Loom video about assessment, about how you run your assessments, right? That's how I would do it. And I'm going to literally run you step by step, and I'm going to give you an example of if you'd have signed up to one of ours now. So I will replicate it. I would also send out whatever plans/logs that you want to send. So I know some of you are going to say, I coach on an app and this and that and the other. And again, remember, we're there to advise you on what's the best thing for your business. If you're saying that you want to run it on your app, or you want to run it on Google Drive, or you want to test the two, that's up to you guys to figure out or to do, right? If it was us doing it, we would of course run it on Google Drive because we would coach through Sheets. If you use an app to coach, you can still send this through Sheets because it's just a 4 weeks free lead magnet. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly what I would do now. So I would be giving 3, 4, 5 day a week split, male or female, in terms of like a training PDF. So just make it a PDF. And this video, I'm just going to let Dan take a picture of this because I'm going to share my screen in terms of Dropbox.
Sorry.
And then I would send out this video. Tell me when you've taken that, Dan.
Done.
Okay. So now you pretend that I'm on Loom, right? So I need to share my desktop. Okay. So imagine I'm on Loom. Obviously, I wouldn't have the presentation in the background. Welcome to 4 weeks free coaching, which is better than most of the coaches' actual paid shit. And I say shit because usually it is shit. So over the next 4 weeks, yes, I'm going to be giving it away for free. But we're going to cover the exact steps that I would go through with every single one of my clients, basically, that ever signs up, that achieves the wicked results that you've obviously seen all over the page. The first week, we usually run through an assessment week. The reason why I would run through an assessment week is because most coaches are going to spit you out a number and ask you to track calories to that number based off of your height, your weight, your body weight, which is fine, but it can be hit and miss. Instead, I prefer to plan bespokely. And what we're going to learn is how to make the most bespoke program for yourself to ultimately achieve the best results. So that's usually what you would get from most coaches is a calculator spitting something out, or they might show you how to use a calorie calculator, but in my opinion, it's pretty garbage. Secondly, you might get a coach that just spits you out a meal plan, which will no doubt be the same meal plan as somebody else, just with about 3 almonds difference. So for me, here's how I run an assessment week. So the first thing that I would get my clients to do is fill out this lifestyle questionnaire, because it's really important to know exactly, who your client is, what they do in and out of the gym, what they do for work, what they do in terms of their family time, what their hydration's like, what their activity levels are like. So if you came on board as a one-to-one client, here's the types of things that I'll be looking for. Now, you might think that these are not necessarily that important to you and shut up, Mike, get on with it. What calories should I eat and how should I train? But actually, that's part of the problem, is that previously in the past, you've probably done what you thought was the most optimal. And because maybe your lifestyle is not conducive yet to achieving the most optimal, what you should actually be doing is looking for the lowest hanging fruit. So as I go through my assessments with my clients, that's what I'm looking for, okay? So we go through a little bit of a questionnaire. If you want to take some progress photos, here's how I would take the progress photos. Now, this is me not speaking on the Loom video. I'm not going to show you the video of how to take progress photos, but I maybe would do, right? And then nutritionally, so what I run with all of my clients is an assessment week. So for yourselves, guys, here is an example of one of my clients, Cam, and how he ran through his assessment week. So everything that I'm looking for on a day-to-day basis will allow me to be able to plan for him next week once his assessment week is over. And the things that I'm looking for are consistency on a day-to-day basis, consistency or discrepancy between weekdays and weekends, how his weight might fluctuate in accordance to the calories that he's on, and his step counts. So for you guys, as you move into 4 weeks of coaching, I would recommend downloading my Fitness Pal. If you know how to use it, wicked. If you don't, I'm going to attach another video to this to give you a rundown of how to use my Fitness Pal. And all I want you to do is just track for a week. I would also like you to track your daily morning fasted weight. And I would like you to track your steps. Obviously, if you've got an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, that's wicked. If you don't and you only have your phone, look, it's good enough. Maybe it's not the most accurate, but at least it's better than nothing. And it will give you a rough idea, give or take, of whether you're doing a ton of steps or none at all. So that's what I would be doing. So go away, and track your steps, track your weight, track your calories, maybe take some start photos. If you would like to take some measurements, then please do so. Around the chest, around nipple line, around the waist, around belly button line, thickest part of the thigh, thickest part of the bicep will probably be a good start. Obviously, you're not going to get superhuman changes in 4 weeks, but you can definitely start to get the ball rolling and start to see some tightening up, start to see some shape changes, start to feel better about yourself. And it could be a nice way of measuring your progress across that 4 weeks. So I'll see you on the next video where I show you exactly what to do with the data you're about to gather and how you can make the best program for yourself moving forwards. End of video. Okay. So that is literally what I would show on that first Loom video. It would be a representation of what somebody would get as an update. It feels colloquial. It feels laid back. There was a few jokes in there. I'm showing behind the scenes. I'm showing an example of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I'm framing it against other people. I'm not sat there on a PowerPoint explaining something for 15 or 20 minutes. It's short, it's sharp, it's concise, it says exactly what to do, and you're providing the resources needed, i.e. training plans, nutrition log, and MyFitnessPal demonstration video, should they want it. Don't forget, this is free. This is so much better than a recipe pack that nobody will ever fucking use. A fat loss ebook where they'll read the first 2 pages and forget it ever exists. This will be like pretty good stuff. So that's the first Loom video. Let me have a little look in the chat. Okay, any questions on that first Loom? Hard to do with apps as a limit. Yeah, G Sheet's the way. Yeah, I'm paying 75. Cheers. Where were the jokes? Okay, so that's how I would literally go about the first Loom. Again, setting up for the second Loom. Now, those that are using Loom, what you can do on Loom is you can create a folder on Loom on your home screen. So on your home Loom screen, you can add folder and call it 4 weeks free coaching. And you can store the Loom videos in that 4 weeks free coaching, right? You can then see how many views each one has had. So if your first Loom has had 100 views, your second Loom has had 70 views, your third Loom's had 20 views, you can see at what point the majority of people start to drop off. So then you can know when to re-engage with them a little bit more aggressively. So you can start to gather that data over time. So email number 2. So like Dan said, just a catch-up email. How are you getting on? Email number 3, programming. So I would do what I've just done with a screen share, but it would be about programming. So again, without teaching people to suck eggs, it's, okay, so in this video, we're going to go through programming. So by this point, you should have tracked a week's worth of data of your food, a week's worth of steps, and a week's worth of your weight. If you haven't done that yet, it probably means you maybe need a little bit of a direction or accountability, at which point I would probably suggest maybe booking in a call with me, maybe reply to this email and see if I can help you moving forwards. Now, if you have done those things, here's what I'm going to show you what to do. So if your weight stayed the same this week, you've eaten to calorie maintenance. If you've gained weight this week, you've eaten in a surplus. And if you've lost weight, you've eaten to a deficit. I'm going to assume that you're here for fat loss. So we're going to talk about how to set yourself into a deficit. So on your tracker, it will break down the average calories that you've consumed this week. So let's say you consumed 2,800 calories and your weight stayed the same. That means that 2,800 is your maintenance level. So to elicit 1 pound of fat loss, we want to generate around a 3,500 calorie a week deficit, which means removing 500 calories a day. So I would start by setting yourself on 2,300 calories daily. A rough rule of thumb with protein will be around 2 grams per kilo of body weight. So if you're 80 kilos, aim for 160. If that's a bit of a stretch, look to try to build it up to that point over a certain time. If you love your protein and you're already eating a decent amount, you can go upwards to 3 grams per kilo. So 240 if you're an 80 kilos person, and so on and so forth, right? So let's just say scenario 2 is you actually gained weight this week, in which case you probably need to reduce a greater amount of calories than if you were at weight maintenance. So have a little look at how much you gained. So if you gained 2 pounds across the week, you're probably eating to quite a significant surplus, in which case you probably want to be relatively aggressive with the calorie intake from the beginning. So you might want to reduce that by a hefty 25%, measure across the week in terms of week 2, see if the weight starts to come down. If it does, we can then probably assume that you put yourself into a deficit. And I'm not going to carry on the video, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm giving generalized advice, but still specific enough that they'll be able to kind of do it for themselves. But we all know here that they're not going to do it for themselves, and they're not going to hold themselves accountable. And because you're demonstrating a decent level of knowledge and a decent level of service, they're going to ask you questions. They're going to come through into your one-to-one.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah, just based off your question there, Harry, that's why I do it all in one loom. I wouldn't do a separate one for if you've lost weight, if you've maintained weight, if you gain weight, because you want to show almost that that you know all this stuff, and you again took Mike all of 45 seconds to describe it. Like I just leave it all in one. And like Mike just said that, I'd even go into the depths of, like, again, it depends on individuals and kind of your niche a little bit, but I certainly as well would have gone into like an example of like, so if your average was this and you want to drop to this, you could, times up by 7, you get a weekly total. If you take off 2 refeed days, you want slightly higher days, hard to manage the weekends, that's what you can do there. Just, again, it shows that you are, again, thinking of your niche and what they want. Well, they might want 2 high days of the weekend, so they have slightly high calories, and you can give them different scenarios. And for me, in my niche, it would have been the weekend scenario, and then also maybe the training day scenario. But if you're training that day, you might want some higher calories. They're the 2 options that I would generally, for my type of client, I tend to see more of or less of. Like that, again, just to give you an idea of how to make it that little bit more specific, with your niche, whatever. But I just don't think, again, like Mike said, it's 4 weeks free fat loss. You don't need to go into what to do if you've got to this point. It's like everyone's going to want to be in a deficit. So you kind of go, if you've got to that point, we know that those calories are maintenance, so we know we need to be on this part of this end of it. You don't need to go into it in too much detail, I would say. It wouldn't be as important. Marcus, how would you approach this with athletes looking to improve performance rather than weight loss? We have guys who want to gain, lose, or maintain weight. Either way, performance improvement usually being the main goal. I mean, again, if you're tied in as 4 weeks free fat loss, obviously most people, again, want that initially. And you would probably talk a little bit around how to maximize performance with the calories you've got. So like I just said, maybe high calories on training days, for example. The reason that I wouldn't necessarily worry about doing the 4 weeks free coaching for anything other than fat loss is that they're not really, most people are into that. I guess with your situation, you're probably going to have to, again, I'd speak with Mike and probably go down the route of like, okay, how do you, because you've got to remember, this is about showcasing your coaching, not just about going, this is how we do a deficit. This is going to put you into an aggressive deficit so you lose weight. It's a case of you showing off what you know and how you would go about coaching someone in that situation. So for you, it might be that it would be a little bit longer and you would go into the depths of like, this is how you optimize for performance. This is how we're going to make sure that we're just not, for example, you might be like, we're not the same as everyone else. We can't just slash our calories and just lose weight and focus on that alone. We have to think about these things. This is where the niche specific parts of it comes in, which again, we can't go into the depths of every single person and go through this is how you do it. You need to kind of go, well, how would I coach someone in that situation? What do I normally say to people? And I would say that in your example there, if someone comes in with goals and they're like, oh, the 4 weeks free coaching doesn't really fit my goal, that's your chance to upsell them and go, well, yeah, you need coaching. Like you need my help there because it's quite specific and unique, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
for most people, it's going to be geared towards fat loss.
I think Luke said in there as well, like, how would you position this to a physique-based? Lads looking to compete at some point, it won't go down well. And then Harry's kind of like challenge that. Why wouldn't it go down well? Yeah, I would agree. Why?
I think it
would
go down well, yeah.
I think it would go down really well. But don't look at this as taking this verbatim. Again, guys, like, you should know more about your audience than we do. So we can't sit here and go, now if you coach people for jiu-jitsu, here's how to do 4 weeks free. Now, if you're hybrid, here's how to do we can give you a template of what we would assume would be best fit for most people and apply the principles that you use, this is why it will be wicked for yourself. So when you're asking me like literal questions, you can make it fit your style of coaching, and it should fit your style of coaching and be congruent to what you're going to deliver. So you should know better than me. You should be sat there formulating ideas going, yeah, this is what I would actually do in week 1. This is what I would do in week 2. This is what I would do. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense.
And again, same with what you said there, Nicole, like if you wanted to show someone a true reflection of your coaching service, would you use your coaching app rather than creating your resources? I'd create resources because you would say, well, it's free, right? Because the app, you've got to pay for it. And I would argue that the service comes from what you're saying and how you go about your coaching in terms of like what you say, how you motivate someone, how you actually speak to them versus whether you use a sheet or an app. Ultimately, that's just to track the numbers. The numbers aren't your coaching, right? It's your interpretation of all that sort of stuff. So it shouldn't make a difference from that point, as we said previously.
Yeah, like the app sheet thing, like again, it's one of those questions that we get, and it's like you pick, like you pick, because often when somebody asks us this question, you've got an idea of what you want to do it on, and then if that is the case, we'll do it on that then. Like if you think that you can onboard people and it's not clunky, because this isn't clunky, because you literally would have a link to that nutrition sheet and it would be locked so they can't edit it, and it would be first thing you do is hit file, make a copy. That's it. So it's really easy to get it out there. With the apps, you might need to add them as a user and stuff like that. But again, that's on your head. If that's what you want to do, that's what you do. There's also no difference in going, here's 4 weeks of free coaching. I'm using this here, but here's what my clients have. And you show behind the scenes of your software. So if it is better than Sheets, which I would argue, but which it is, if it is, you kind of go, this is what my one-to-one clients get. So there's that air of feeling like there's something missing, that they want something extra. Again, like use common sense with this kind of stuff. It's not a case of like, if this completely doesn't fit what you do as a coach, don't do it. So email 4, obviously after the one I've just said about the programming, you can run a little call to action. Okay, so if you imagine where they're at now, this is about 10 days in. So they've had their first email about their assessment week, they've been shown how to program. This email is basically to second guess the fact that they probably have either not started and fallen off, or not really known how to program for themselves, or quite unsure, because they will be unsure. Because even though you've just told them, most people are still going to want to make sure to check it's okay. So you'd be okay running a call to action in this, in my opinion. So it could be, hey, so by this point we should have nailed the assessment week, got your calories and macros, and you should be pretty clear about what we're doing moving forwards. If this isn't the case, and maybe you're struggling a little bit with direction or guidance or accountability even, then it probably makes sense, given the fact that you're on 4 weeks free coaching, you probably want something to change with your physique. So if that's the case, it could be worth booking in a quick chat. Reply to this email, or hit the calendar link, or head over to my Instagram and drop me a message. Whatever call to action you wanted to put on that, right? Email 5, I would do plateaus. So I would, again, without sucking eggs, I would go, so most people struggle when they hit a plateau because they don't know what to do, often because they've been so aggressive from the get-go that they've dropped the calories, they've dropped the carbs, they've done loads of cardio, and then their weight starts to stall. So what do you do? So here's what I would do. A, don't be aggressive. Don't be too aggressive. You make sure that you're moving at a good speed. Roughly 0.5 to 1% of your body weight on a week-to-week basis is wicked. So if you're 80 kilos, that's 0.4 to 0.8 on average each week to move yourself forwards. And again, I would have the spreadsheet up that I use. So just like I did with Cam, right? I would be showing. In fact, let's fucking do it. Let me do it. I'll share it like that. Okay. So where's Cam? Cam's a little bit of a different one because he's pretty much exclusively gained weight. But let's just say again, I was on this Loom video, and I would say, okay, so what you can't be looking at is your day-to-day weight. For example, take Cam here. One day weighs 89, next 89.7, next 89, 89.5, 90, 90.2, 89.8. You can see a wild fluctuation in his weight there. Okay, now that's what you're probably going to get on a day-to-day basis. So don't be alarmed if your weight goes up and your weight goes down. That's why we've built in an average across here on the right-hand side. So instead, what I would be looking at is your average across time as opposed to your absolute weight on any given day. Okay, so how I would assess a plateau is not if you've had 2 days of the same weight or 3 days of the same weight. So for example, like here with Cam, where he's had 2 days, instead, I would assess a plateau as being 1, even 2 weeks, roughly with the same average weight. If that occurs, you can then do one of two things or a combination of both. The first thing that you might want to do is drop calories by roughly, say, 10%. The second thing that you can do is increase energy expenditure. So you might add in some cardio, or you might add in another 1,000 steps to do per day or 2,000 steps to do per day. Or you could do a combination of the two. Usually I would do one or the other, but it's not unheard of to do both. So it might be that you drop calories by a less amount of a percentage if you're struggling with hunger, and increase cardio or steps by a less amount if you're struggling with time. So you can do a combination of those, but you do need to make sure that you have hit a plateau before you make those changes. Otherwise, you're going to end up taking away too many calories, increasing your expenditure too much, and then you're not going to know what to do from there. Plateaus.
Just on on your question, Luke, what was it going? Phrasing it as free coaching when it's not the same thing exactly you would deliver, and they may have had a coach before and know more about it. What I would say to that is, it's not about it being exactly the same, because you could argue the group coach is not the same as one-to-one, but yeah, you charge for that, or we would charge for that group coaching versus one-to-one. Doesn't have to be the same. What you're doing essentially is that if people did follow it, it would be free, it would work, and they would see results from it, right? It's more you showing the systems behind what you're doing. And I would argue that most physique-based athletes would probably be following a meal plan, probably be following a drop your calories this week, do loads of cardio. And it's your opportunity to show that you're not just doing that, in my mind. Because obviously you can't show exactly what you deliver because it requires some of their input, but that you're kind of like saying that on the looms, though. You're like, well, by this point, you'd probably be here. Most of my clients are here. This is what they struggle with usually. This is what I'd recommend. So I don't think you need to worry about phrasing it as free coaching. It's not exactly the same thing, because obviously it's not going to be, but then it doesn't even have to be either. I think that's the key thing to remember. And then when they say that they may have had a coach before and know more about it, they wouldn't sign up for 4 weeks free coaching, would they? That'd be my argument. Is I don't think they would sign up for it. They're not going to be intrigued or anything like that. They've had a coach and all that sort of stuff. That'd be my view of it. What you said there about those physique-based guys that want to do that is that I think those physique-based guys are usually just told bro split and meal plan. Most of them. And again, I appreciate you're a bit younger, so maybe the younger audience, maybe not quite as much, but I certainly think the detail you go into and the level of support you give would be the thing that would set you apart from the free coaching versus not doing it at all, for example.
Yeah, I don't think people can worry. Like, remember, it's free. Like, I don't think people are going to be like, I don't think they're going to get the pitchforks and the torches out and be like storming the village, because it's not exactly what you give away within your coaching. Like, it's 4 weeks for free, really detailed, really intricate, that gives them a really good overview of what coaching is, that will get them results, impart knowledge on them. Like, again, like, it's people are happy to knock together a useless ebook and give that away for free that nobody reads. Like, make this fucking wicked. Like, make it wicked. Like, and obviously on the first Loom video, they know it's not specific to them. Of course it's not. It's free. So this is 4 weeks free. Over the course of the next 4 weeks, you're going to learn this. You're going to see behind the scenes. I'm going to show you the process that I go through so you can plan for yourself. Not so I can plan for you or onboard you or give you WhatsApp support, so you can plan for yourself. That's it. Email 6, another similar CTA. Question on the CTA: if someone books a call from the CTA, is that call to give them some advice to carry on, or move them on to one-to-one paid? Obviously, the idea is probably to try to move them on to one-to-one and paid and argue the fact that they need some accountability. If you know, if they're looking at wanting to carry on for the 3-4 weeks, cool, give them some advice and on their way. But you should still be trying to use it to demonstrate why that one-to-one or your group will be of benefit from them. Like, if you think about this in terms of who that this might attract, this will be wicked to get people onto a group, onto a priority list for the next group. Like, this will be like the precursor to most people's priority lists, I would assume, right? So yeah. But what you will find is, for example, my client Charlie, in his first week of getting it out, he got 100 people on it, which is amazing. Shows how well he pushed it. He got 4 people watch the first Loom video and sign up to one-to-one off the first Loom video. 4 people, which is really good, because they were like, that first Loom video, like let's just crack on with coaching. Like, let's get stuck in. So I said to Charlie, I was like, that's after 2 weeks that you've had 4 people sign up. I was like, imagine after 2 years, like in 2 weeks, he's had 4 people off the back of it. Like,
It's not
again,
bad, is it?
so
1
I
in
just
25 chance when you post about it.
it's not bad, is it?
Yeah.
And the other people that are on that list, out of that 100, how many of those are going to go into his group coaching? How many of them, given the fact that they've only been running it 1 or 2 weeks, by the end of that 4 weeks? So by the end of that 4 weeks, it might not be 4, it might be 6 or 7 that have come through, and it might be that another 5 or 6 jump on his next group for nothing.
I think the thing that comes with it, like Harry's just put there, like he's sold. The thing with this, you guys need to remember, is that to you guys, because you are good coaches, you just think this is the norm. Believe me, like, this is not the norm. Like, giving out this level of detail and service. That's why Charlie got 4 people reach out, because they'd have gone, fucking hell, is that what you do? Jesus, sign me up.
Yep.
That's what they've done, because all they've had before is a PDF, is a WhatsApp text, is a shitty meal plan, and this still goes on. Like, again, you guys, because you live in a bit of a strange warped world where you guys look at other people in this group maybe, or you see what we're talking about and you just think, oh, everyone does that. Believe me, about 5% of you are doing this, and I shit you not. Like, think how many PTs are out there that are awful that you see in the gym, right? And then quadruple that. Right. And then imagine that's how many people are doing that online as well. This is your opportunity. When I said at the start about selling this, you need to sell this like you mean it. Because I bet that's what Charlie had to get 100 people on. And that's why he got 4 of them go, do you know what? This fucking quality. Let's jump on board. Because now those 4 people, I bet they didn't take much convincing on a call, by the way, because he sold the fact that free coaching was so good, and he put time and effort into making sure that these Loom videos are right, that they've gone, oh my God, if that level of detail you go into, like, sign me up now. Like, they were probably ready to spend the cash straight away, right? And this is what we mean, is like, if you look at this and just go, oh, it probably won't work, then yeah, it won't work. It won't work if that's your view of it. Whereas if you go into it like, I'm a great coach, what I provide and the way I do things is better than anyone else, and I firmly believe that my services are the best thing for my niche, and that I will get them the best results out of anyone possible. Why the fuck would you not do this? And why the fuck would you not sell it every single week? Hard. There is no negative outcome for these people if they download this and get involved. None.
Literally none. So email 7, which is another Loom video, any other business. So supplementation, NEAT, cardio, that kind of stuff, like anything that you might want to bring in.
You could probably put some quite niche specific stuff in the end as well, by the way. Like, if you were, again,
yeah,
we obviously can't know that for you guys, but I think that's where you can start to really kind of put that in.
Yeah, absolutely.
The reason I say that is because these people at the end are going to be the ones that, if they are still watching, are going to be closer than those. Basically, like Mike said, people are going to drop off real quick, and then you're going to try and get them re-engaged, and may not. If they've watched the second to last Loom, they're pretty interested in what you're doing, right?
Oh yeah. Like, if they've gotten that far, they'll be interested. So then the last one is basically a Loom with a bit of a sales pitch. So, like, there's no CTA email in between the last 2. It will just be done on the last thing. So it will be a case of going, right, so if you're watching this, you probably completed 4 weeks free. I'm guessing most of you signed up for results that maybe take slightly longer than 4 weeks. And at this point, now you've got the ball rolling, it could be the perfect opportunity to now get yourself some accountability. And then I would probably give a little sales pitch. I would probably bring up some clients on screen. I would probably give it a little bit of beans and be like, because imagine the only people watching this will probably be the most bought in. Give it a little bit of beans and run a call to action. And it can be, if you feel like one-to-one coaching with myself personally, very, very similar to what you've just had over the last 4 weeks is for you. Obviously, it will be more bespoke. So the training programming isn't going to be 3, 4, 5 day a week generic. It will be now programmed to you bespokely. The gym that you have, the kit you have access to, the style of training that you like, areas that you want to bring up, length of session, amount of sessions, it will all be tailored. Instead of these Loom videos being generic in terms of how you can work stuff out yourself, I will literally be on hand every video to walk you through step by step exactly what you should do in detail every single day and on a weekend as well. On top of that, you'll get my phone number, so you can message me in between if you feel that one-to-one is for you. If not, and you're interested in another group element, we run a group 3 or 4 times a year. If that's the most useful thing for you, maybe hit the link in the email. That will add you to the priority list, which will give you more information on when the next group is running and how you can get involved. Done.
Easy as that.
Easy as that. So this will be a very high value lead magnet. It displays every nuance that you want someone to see. All the things that you cannot do or you struggle with on social media, you can do with this, right? You can, like, again, I think people overlook, like you said there, Dan, I think people take it as granted. Even somebody seeing your spreadsheets, like, and going, oh, you think it's the norm because maybe you've been coached by another coach who uses spreadsheets or an app or something like that. You think it's the norm. But you're not the norm. You're a coach. Like, you know this stuff. They don't. Very, very high value. Okay. And just even showing anything of behind the scenes is really, really useful for them. I would write down every single thing that someone will learn from that lead magnet and then direct CTAs towards this within your content. Okay. For example, let's just say I'm going to do it for us. Let's just say me and Dan have got 4 weeks free. Imagine, let's just say in one of the videos, let's just say in our videos, we talk about niche, personal branding, outreach, and consistent content. I could pick out one of those and make content about it. Most coaches struggle to make consistent content because they don't know their niche. They don't know who they're talking to. They've probably been told that they've got to pick a niche, which usually consists of male, female, age, and a profession. However, that's wrong. We cover more of this in detail in our 4 weeks free mentoring. So message me the word 4 weeks free and we can give you some advice. Like, you see what I mean by you pick out a little bit, you talk a little bit about it. I hit a pain point there with most coaches struggle to make consistent content and know what content to make. They've been told to make niche related, but it's just male, female. I'm picking out a pain point. So people will go, yeah, that's me. We talk about it more in this. Move them over. It's free. Fill up this bucket. So when I go back to the beginning, when I had those kind of like those four like columns, I guess, see that as a bucket, fill people into that. And all of those people are literally identifying you that they're wanting / needing coaching, and then use that to then engage with those. So rather than going, how can I get any random follower into one-to-one? This will be the key identifier and re-engage with all of those people. So when we talk about people that view your stories, your most engaged followers, people who get this are even more engaged than that, right? So makes sense to be a little bit more on it with those, and then go get making it simple.
It is that.
And that is it.